Good evening. It is December 9th, 2025. The time is 7:32. I would like to call to order the December 9th meeting of the Norwalk Common Council. If you please rise and join me in pledging allegiance to our nation's flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Goldstein.
Here.
Mr. Lopez.
Here.
Ms. Najolski Eichner.
Present.
Ms. Smith. Here. Ms. Ayers.
Here.
Mr. Seed.
Present.
Mr. Wiggins.
Here.
Ms. Young.
Here.
Ms. Edie.
Here.
Ms. Winterstrand.
Here.
Ms. Dunn.
Here.
Mr. Sutton.
Present.
Mr. Frayer.
Here.
Ms. Shanahan.
Here.
We have 14 in attendance. We have a quorum.
Okay. 14. Next item, acceptance of the minutes of the special meeting of November 17th, 2025. Do I have a motion? Ms. Smith, are there any questions or any corrections, deletions, or omissions? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes as submitted? Okay. Opposed?
Abstentions. Abstentions.
Najolski Eichner and anybody else abstaining? No. Okay. This one. Next, we have public participation. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to address the council? Okay, on an item that's on the agenda?
It's not.
Yeah, it's only comment allowed as what's on the agenda. Is anybody online that wishes to address the council?
Diane Loricella.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Common Council and staff. For the record, my name is Diane Loricella. I first want to say season's greetings if I run out of time before I get to say that. I wanted to comment this evening on 3 of the items on the agenda. There are a lot of very good things on the agenda, but the following 3 of interest to me. The first is under ordinance, I think it's B2, the noise ordinance. I am quite pleased that there has been an effort to make this a user-friendly ordinance. I was one of the folks who was heavily involved with trying to just get a noise ordinance going with professional help back in when Eloisa Melendez was the chair of ordinance. I think what happened is things got almost too complicated, and we want to make sure we have user-friendly language and we have adequate equipment for the and backup equipment for the police and the health department. And lastly, let's educate the public, especially the neighborhoods, about when to call and what to remember and whether they can record. Number 2, under DPW, F3, under Household Hazardous Waste Collection Day, I was the person with Bill Collins that brought Household Hazardous Waste Collection Day to Norwalk as a League of Women Voters member back in the 80s. The intent was to make sure that we one day never need this event, but unfortunately there are a lot of toxic things that are still produced. I ask that we really put a better emphasis on educating the public on using less toxic items, but of course we need this day. And lastly, I'd like to end this on a positive note with E1 under LUB, the Land Use and Building Management. I heartily recommend and heartily approve of the history room to be named in some way after Ralph Bloom, who is still alive and struggling, but still alive. And he's done so much for the city's history. And I've utilized a lot of the items and the materials in that room for my environmental management business, looking at old history and where manufacturing was. And others have just enjoyed that in getting back to their, I think, as some have said, even their high school notebooks. So I think it's terrific, and thank you for bringing this forward. And again, season's greetings all.
Thank you, Ms. Lauricella. Is there anybody else wishing to address the council?
Moina Noor.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Moina Noor. I reside at 15 Pequot Drive. I'm the president of the Norwalk Public Library Board. At our October 9th meeting, the Library Board of Directors voted unanimously to approve the following resolution. Resolved that the Board of Directors of the Norwalk Public Library requests that the Norwalk Common Council name the Norwalk Public Library's History Room at 1 Belden Avenue in honor of Ralph C. Bloom, a living person pursuant to Section 27(1) of the Norwalk City Code, in recognition of his significant contributions to the Norwalk Public Library and to the Norwalk community for preserving and celebrating the history of the city of Norwalk. The Norwalk Library Board of Directors respectfully requests that the City Council named the History Room at 1 Belden Avenue as the Norwalk History Room established by Ralph C. Bloom, 1972. This honor would recognize Mr. Bloom's foundational role in establishing and maintaining the History Room and acknowledge his nearly 40 years of service as Norwalk's official city historian. It would also celebrate his extensive contributions through scholarship, museum administration, and preservation advocacy. At the Land Uses Committee's public hearing last week, I was joined by my fellow board members, former Mayor Alex Knopp and Patsy Brescia, former chairperson of the Lockwood Matthews Mansion. They could not be here tonight, but send their enthusiastic support for the effort. Until this year, Mr. Bloom served as a library board member and an active library volunteer for many years. Mr. Bloom's life's work has profoundly enriched our community. The History Room he founded ensures that Norwalk's past remains a living resource for its future and will benefit our city for generations to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Noor. Any further comments from those online?
There are none, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We'll close public participation. That will bring us to mayor's remarks. As you know, we opened up the West Cedar Street Bridge about 4 or 5 days past the expected date, but it was, I'm sorry, there's no resignations and appointments. It was a couple days past the expected date, but it's a beautiful bridge. But we cut the ribbon. I took the opportunity to train our incoming mayor on ribbon cutting, and she did a remarkable job. So I think she's going to be okay. The bridge is under construction since April. CONDOT determined it was in poor condition. We secured funding for the full bridge replacement through federal and state funds, so it didn't take any of the city funding to do that. CONDOT, wonderful partnership with DPW for their hard work on this. The bridge is now wider, so it's much easier to pass cars going in the opposite directions. As if you've gone over that bridge, you know how it can be, how concerning it can be. Last Friday night, we had a tree lighting here at City Hall, our annual tree lighting. I want to thank Recreation and Parks for organizing the event. Despite the weather, there was a lot of people out. It was very, very cold, and we had wonderful entertainment by Crystal Theater, some of the school singers. I think the Girl Scouts were here, and so it was really a nice event, a nice family event, and the hot chocolate was delicious. I also took an opportunity then to train our new elected mayor-elect in how to light a Christmas tree. So last Saturday, we had our 4th annual holiday extravaganza at 50 Washington Street. We had a successful rappelling this year. And I want to thank the fire department technical rescue team, who was, well, it was actually Santa Claus and the Grinch that really went down. But I do want to thank Captain Whitney King and NFD firefighters, brothers, Dennis Dustin and David Dustin, who look like Santa and the Grinch. And thank you to the city's economic and development team for really organizing a great job. It's so many people come out. It was just a wonderful event, such a family event, and it just brings people into Norwalk and they can really see what we have here in the city. Also, this coming Saturday, we have the 5th annual Jingle Bell Run starting at Calf Pasture Beach. Kicks off at 9 a.m. Sunday, December 4th at 5 p.m. is our menorah lighting ceremony at City Hall in partnership with Beth Israel Shabbat. And let's see what we have here. Yes, the City of Norwalk is hosting our annual Kwanzaa celebration on Friday, December 26th at 6 p.m. in the Community Hall. It's an evening filled with culture, music, food, local vendors as we celebrate Umoja, the first principle of Kwanzaa, which represents unity within family, community, and culture. It's a wonderful event as well. If you haven't been, I think you'd be pleasantly surprised when you come and see it. And I want to thank our council person, Ms. Young, for being a big part of organizing this. Thank you very much. Last but not least, you're mostly aware that this is my last meeting as mayor. As I figured it out, over the 12 years, I probably chaired, well, taking 2 meetings a year, Thanksgiving and Christmas out of the picture, probably about 264 council meetings. And I want to tell you, it's been an honor and a privilege. I say thank you to the people of Norwalk who put their trust in me to lead the city. And it's just overwhelming to me that we were able to do that. I want to thank the council members who served with me over the 12 years. Some of you were here. Well, I don't think anybody was here from the beginning, except Mario. But you know, you've come on and gone, and it's been a remarkable. And what I did, and with the help of Michelle Woods-Matthews and Tom Livingston, we kind of went over some of the things that we were able to accomplish during the past 12 years as a team. You know, nothing happens without the team. And if you take a moment to really sit down and think about it, and if you like, I'll share the information with you at another time. It's absolutely amazing what we have accomplished. And it was done in a spirit of cooperation. We have a wonderful team of people that work for the city. We're very proud of the work that they do and that they bring to us, that comes through the subcommittees and the discussion that takes place. I know the council people go to 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5 meetings or 4 meetings every month at night. And you don't make a lot of money. And the people of Norwalk, I'm sure, are very grateful for what you do. I certainly am. And so again, it's been a real honor and a privilege for me. I also want to thank, I know Mr. Sutton, Ms. Najowski-Eichner, Ms. Dunn, and Ms. Shanahan will not be returning to the council next time. Will be replaced. But again, thank you for what you've done. Again, you brought your experience and your expertise, and most importantly, your dedication and your spirit of Norwalk to the council. And that's what it's all about. Bringing that spirit of Norwalk and working together to make Norwalk the best it can possibly be. So I want to wish the entire city and the entire council a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and overall, AJ, say really happy and merry holiday season. Thank you. With that, I will turn it over to our mayor-elect, council president.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I'd just like to take a moment to also thank you very much for your service. You know, I've been serving on the council here for 8 years, and I cannot even imagine the adjustment that I'm going to have not having you sitting at that seat. So thank you for your service. It's been an honor to serve on the council with you. You have done amazing things with the city of Norwalk. and for the people of Norwich. And I know that you said you didn't want, you didn't want to go through it all again. We've had all kinds of celebrations for you, but this is where it happens, right here at this table. And this is where we, we work together. I'd venture to say that we have more like eight meetings a month at least, right? Yes. So anyway, I also would just like to thank everybody. It's been an odd feeling for me to, be leaving the council, but stay at this table. And it's an honor to work with every one of you. And I also would just like to take a moment, Doug, to thank you for your service. You stepped up when we needed you, and you have been here, you just knew what to do with all of your experience. And so thank you for that. Nora, thank you so much. I know we didn't always agree, but I have always really, truly appreciated your pushing us to think in different ways. Because that's what we need to do, right? Always look at how we can do things differently. So I really, really have appreciated that about you. Lisa, you're next on the table, but I see that you're there online. It's been quite a pleasure working with you, and you have pushed us in different ways, and really, thinking about the importance of trees and equity with trees and the environment. So thank you for that. It's been an honor. And Heather, also I have been so honestly touched by your kindness and compassion, and the fact that you have been able to do this and go to meetings, all of these meetings consistently while teaching and serving on the Red Cross, and spending many sleepless nights and serving the people who've been really hurt. So I just want to thank everybody.
I will continue to do.
Yeah.
If I show up at your door, hopefully it's in good times. Yeah.
And so we have some plaques handouts. And so I would just like to, yes, okay, so come on here. And Ms. Shanahan, we have yours here for you. We'll make sure you get it.
You can give it to my neighbor, Jim. How about that?
Your council has been taking
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Irene's.
Oh, yeah. Probably got one the last time you left.
You see?
Put this together.
A little bit here.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
wait, hold on, wait, hold on.
Us.
In fact, we have two more. So for our incoming council, outgoing council. Just what you know.
Lucy over.
She's got a special place.
This is very nice.
Are you in the picture?
Thank you. It's such a great. And I'll thank you.
Yeah, no, this was last time. It's also like there's a placard in the mayor's office too.
For all you did.
Lisa, Lisa, here's yours.
Did you get one? Oh, he didn't get
And thank you so much for this. It's very nice. I appreciate it. And now I will turn it over to the council president.
Okay, and on to business. Unless anyone has any objections, we will move the executive session to the end. And I have the honor of reading the consent calendar tonight.
Huzzah!
For the last
For
time.
the last time. For the last time.
Yes, Mom.
Okay. Item 7C1, Public Safety and General Government. A, authorize Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute cloud renewal access with the Traffic Logics Corp. Corporation for continued use of the current hardware, software, and interface with cloud access and data retrieval beginning October 1, 2025, and ending September 30, 2028. B, authorize the City of Norwalk purchasing agent to execute purchase orders on behalf of the Norwalk Police Department to Traffic Logics Corp. Utilizing JAG grant account G0070 based on the availability of funds not to exceed $2,367. C, authorize the City of Norwalk purchasing agent to execute purchase orders on behalf of the Norwalk Police Department to Traffic Logics Corporation utilizing NPD account number noted based on the availability of funds not to exceed $933. 7D1, under Economic and Community Development, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Main Star for Project 4435, Community Development Software and Services for an amount not to exceed $500,000 to implement a new online permitting and licensing system, account number noted. D2, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to increase the contract with ARC Document Solutions for an amount of $2,495 to include GIS customization and a public access module. D3, account number noted. D3, authorize the Director of Transportation, Mobility, and Parking to amend the agreement with New York Con Corporation for traffic on-call services for an amount not to exceed $175,000. Account numbers noted. D4, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into any and all documents and agreements required by the Connecticut Department of Transportation, Connecticut DOT, to accept grant funding under the Community Connectivity Grant Program. 7E2, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Hertz Furniture Systems, LLC, for the student locker replacement at Nathan Hale Schools and Ponus Ridge STEAM Academy for a total not to exceed $460,000. Funds are available and account numbers noted. B, authorize the NPS Facilities Department to issue change orders on this contract for a total of $46,000. Funds are available and account number noted. E3, technical correction of City Council action on November 17, 2025, items 7D, 8A, and 8B by correcting the typo in the GMP amount to properly reflect the actual bid amount. New action to read as follows. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute the guaranteed maximum price GMP amendment with Newfield Construction Group, LLC, for the Marvin Elementary School HVAC improvement project in the amount of $3,086,483. Funds are available and account number noted. Authorize the Office of Building Management to issue change order on contract for a total not to exceed $308,648. Funds available and account number noted. 7F1, under Public Works, authorize the acceptance of a sidewalk easement in favor of the city at 467 Connecticut Avenue. 2, authorize Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute the second amendment to the April 9, 2024 agreement between the City of Norwalk and Burns Construction Company, Inc. for project PM 2024-2, permanent roadway repairs and surface restoration for an amount not to exceed $525,000, account number noted. B, authorize the Chief of Operations and Public Works to execute orders on contract with Burns Construction Company, Inc. for project PM 2024-2, permanent pavement repairs and surface restoration for amount not to exceed $52,500, account number noted. F3, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a third amendment to the April 12, 2021 agreement for household hazardous waste collection between the City of Norwalk and Clean Harbors Environmental Services, Inc., project 4079, for an amount not to exceed $68.86 per household and $41.20 per half household, account number noted. F4, authorize the purchasing agent to issue a purchase order with Morton Salt, Inc., state contract number noted, for road salt for a sum not to exceed $81.24 a ton for the 2025-2026 winter season, account number noted. F5, authorize the purchasing agent to issue a purchase order with Cargill, Inc., state contract number noted, for road salt for a sum not to exceed $81.24 a ton for the 2025-2026 winter season, account number noted. authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a third amendment to the July 20th, 2023 agreement with the city of Norwalk, between the city of Norwalk and CDM Smith for project numbers 4240 and 4240A, DRG 2023-2, engineering design services for municipal separate storm sewer systems for some not to exceed $232,580, account numbers noted. And F7, authorize the mayor to execute Bettswood Road and Barbara Drive drainage improvements and sewer separation grant and any and all other agreements and other documents necessary to effectuate the grant. And that is the consent calendar. And I will call for the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? That carries unanimously. I will turn it back to you, Mayor.
Thank you. And well done, by the way. That will bring us to item 7A1, Mr. Flair.
Yes, under 78, number 1, appropriate $1 million of the municipal grant need for design, engineering, and construction services related to pedestrian improvements and sidewalk connections. I'd like to move this.
Okay, you moved it and now.
And just mention something about it too. This is part of a tremendous grant that the city received of $10 million for 26 and another $10 million for fiscal year 27. And apropos of this item passing, we'll have a kickoff on Thursday morning, I believe, where we will, as a result of the Route 1 corridor study that we just received the final results of that and recommendations. So it looks like we might be able to get started on pedestrian ways and particularly a pedestrian walkway on Route 1, just across from Chick-fil-A. So if there's any other questions, happy to answer them. We also have Mr. Travis here, who is going to be making a kickoff on Thursday morning.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. That'll bring us to item 7B1, Ms. Shanahan.
Yes, these are my final duties. So I just wanted to also thank the council, just take a moment of personal privilege and thank the council for all the work these last 6 years. It's been fantastic. And Mayor, you did make it the greenest city in Connecticut, and it was great to work with you on all of that. So I'm thrilled about all that was accomplished in the last 6 years. So moving on to the real work of this evening, I have 2 items. The first item that I'd like to move and speak to is to approve the new ordinance use of school bus violation enforcement systems. And this is a new ordinance that we've drafted, and I think that Mr. Travers is in the audience, and he can speak to the details of this item.
Thank you, council members. My name is Jim Travers. I'm the Director of Transportation, Mobility, and Parking for the city. Last year, I believe, the state legislation finally made a change for really addressing a matter in which I have spoken to on record to the legislative team for about the past dozen or so years, and that's red light cameras, that's speed enforcement cameras, and what Ms. Shanahan was referring to earlier is the school arm cameras, right? So it will allow when a school bus is stopped and the arm is extended, if someone goes around the bus, it'll take an image of the license plate of the car, and it'll be sent a ticket similarly as if they were issued a ticket from the police department. I think this one, is just actually for me is really, for my whole career has been about traffic safety and safety on the roadways, right? And we know what happens around buses. We know what children are like. And part of what we do in transportation planning is try to anticipate what's going to happen and mitigate those strategies, right? And I think this is a great one because police can't be everywhere. They can't be, they can't be there for every time a bus is picking up a child, right? But a camera can't. And I think we have had our police department extremely successful with issuing citations for individuals who do this. If Chief Walsh was here, he would give you some incredible numbers of what they have had when they have. But so this is an opportunity to have every camera, every bus do it. And I think that is where we're going to start to change behavior. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
I think Chief Walsh is also online.
Oh, good.
Chief, do you have any comments that you'd like to make?
Yes, this technology will definitely be a force multiplier for public safety and all the public safety of the kids that are traveling on the buses every day. To date, the police department has already stopped over 13,000 cars and issued over 13,000 citations to date, which is an incredible number considering the number of officers and the population per capita in the city of Norwalk. We can't do enough to have traffic calming and better safety devices out there. So I'm in fully support of this technology. I think it'll definitely increase our safety of our school bus traffic. Just for one instance, we did an initiative last month. We gave out 45 tickets for passing school bus in about 10 days. And some areas of town are notorious. So this technology will definitely, hopefully, slow down some of this illegal activity.
Thank you. Do we have any questions, Ms. Young?
So, can you tell me how it will actually work? So if you take the picture from the bus, then how does that?
So the camera would become active when the arm is extended. So only when the arm is extended and it detects a vehicle going around the bus, it'll then take an image of the vehicle. So it focuses in going around with the camera on the bus. But again, only activated when the arm is extended. So when the arm is extended, the camera is no longer active.
Where does that image go?
What we're in front of today is the legislation. The legislation then, a change in the legislation would allow us to go out for an RFP and seek a potential vendor. The vendors that we've talked to in preliminary data, and what some of the requirements are from the state legislator is that it would sit in their data house, right? And that it is held for a period of time, and then discard it or just removed. I'm sorry, it's been a very long day, so words are coming out. But the violator would actually get the citation in the mail. It is sent to the registered owner of the vehicle, and a image of the license plate and on the vehicle going in violation would be sent along with that citation.
Mr. Wiggins.
Oh, does it capture the front license plate and the back license plate?
So in most instances, it's capturing the front license plate because we have a guarantee of license plate, a better guarantee of license plate on the rear of the car than the front. So in most instances of what I've seen, it's the rear license plate that's captured.
Other questions? Ms. Dunn.
No question. So what is not, this is just the ordinance, and then we're going to have to put budgeting in to buy the equipment. Will the bus company end up owning the equipment, or does the city own the equipment afterwards? I know that's not part of the ordinance itself.
No, it's great because I think that's what we could, through the RFP process, we can look at what opportunities are there for us. So the legislature, the state legislature did allow for the cost to be incurred, the cost of the equipment to be incurred. So we would essentially lease the equipment from the camera company, so that which if I were to make a recommendation, I would make that recommendation, because if we were to procure the cameras our own, right, then when they become older or obsolete, then we have to come back for another funding, versus if you lease it and you just incorporate it into, the fine would be then reduced by the lease amount. So it would be incorporated in that the revenue would be the net gain of that. But I would recommend that we do a lease agreement. That way we just always ensure that we have the top equipment that's out there.
And so if we went with the Board of Ed went with a different bus company, that leasing company could move it to
It could be transferred. It would be transferable.
Okay,
Right?
all right,
Yes.
that's good. Thank you.
Further questions? Ms. Josie Eichner.
Thank you. And I don't have a question so much as just a statement. I appreciate folks taking this off consent for me. I was a no vote in the ordinance committee. I will be a no vote here. And I think that this is a closer call than the other no votes I've taken recently on the surveillance equipment. Obviously, school bus safety is incredibly important, and the functionality here where the picture is only being taken when the driver drives back past the school bus certainly limits the data collection, hopefully. But I really will reiterate to all my colleagues who will be continuing on this council, as I will not, and will miss you all dearly in that regard, that I think writ large, the sort of ongoing growth of surveillance is something that I really recommend that the council continue to pay real close attention to. I think that the events of the last year at the federal level have really sensitized all of us to the dangers of data, the ways in which once data is collected, it can move outside of our control, the limitations of the city's ability to audit data providers. We get representations from them. Our police chief, our transportation, mobility, and parking folks do their best to ensure that our data is protected. But at the end of the day, we have very little control about what happens once that data is collected. And I think that is a real danger to all of our residents that we need to consider and balance, again, particularly as we struggle with confidence in the way of the democratic accountability of our federal government, the ways in which they have misused and are continuing to misuse data. Examples we have seen from other states of these kinds of readers being used to track individuals who have not committed crimes. There's real risk here. And I think that is something that should be weighed as these kinds of contracts come up for consideration, as the city decides whether or not to expand these kinds of programs. So I appreciate the work that's done by the chief of both transportation, parking, and mobility, and the chief of police. I recognize that, as Chief Walsh has pointed out to me, our phones are also all tracking us all the time. And so at the end of the day, we all need to be thoughtful about the multiple kinds of data trails that we are using and the risks that all of that poses to us in the wrong hands. But I also think that municipalities have an opportunity here to consider and weigh and figure out, like many things, when we put in demands, when we put in a leaf blower ordinance, it's amazing to discover that the companies are willing to start doing better and offer more products that meet the demands and the needs. If the city is going to hold people more accountable for appropriate use of the data, potentially we will see other options that will increase the ability of municipalities to audit the data, to control the data themselves, to have other kinds of protections and security that might make our residents safer. So I think it is helpful for all of us to continue to weigh these things as we move forward. And again, as you move forward, maybe I'll come and use my 3 minutes. I won't be allowed to talk as well. It'll be great fun. So thank you all very much. I appreciate the indulgence. I will be a no vote.
Further comment or discussion? Mr. Wiggins.
At first, to Nora's point, I was kind of against it for the same reasons that she mentioned. But I think hearing, the functionality of it only being able to capture a vehicle when it's in use, I don't think that'd be too much harm. And I think it has to be some balance if we're going to say public safety is important, but also, protecting people is also important. I think that's the balance when that functionality, when it opens, it then I don't know how long it lasts or whatever the case may be. It's not being recorded, correct? So it's just a snapshot, and then so I don't see how that could be a complete a bad thing. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I do think it's something we should consider if it's based on what Chief Walsh said, if this is a constant thing, I think it's something. Because put it like this, if someone was to get hit by one of those vehicles, I think we'd be having a different conversation, right? So, I'm in support of it. That's it.
Further comments? Mr. Seat.
Yeah, and I think it's just important to note again, it's been said before, that this is just the ordinance.
Yeah.
The real question of like with the privacy concerns and what people are doing with the data is really gonna come once we go to choose a vendor. Because that's where we're gonna have to make sure we're doing our due diligence to make sure that we're choosing a vendor that's reputable and that's gonna be able to do as best as they can. But like Councilwoman just Geiger said, we still have to make sure that we're standing up for the people and it's challenges from the federal government that sometimes our hand could be tied. So it is challenging, but we just have to still do our due diligence. But this is just changing the ordinance that we are allowed to do it. The vendor is going to come next.
Further discussion or comment? Seeing none, all in favor?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
I think I convinced her. I think that was me.
Totally. I still feel credit.
She raised her hand by accident. I was like, okay.
All in favor? Opposed?
I'm saying, Mr. Mayor, yes, without the little humor value.
One in opposition.
One abstention.
Mr. Sutton.
Mr. Sutton abstained? Okay, that's two. That'll bring us to item 7B2, Ms. Shanahan.
Okay, this was the number 2 item is approved charges to chapter 68 noise, section 68.1, 68.2, 68.3, 68.4, 68.5, 68.6, 68.7, 68.8, 68.9, 68.10, 68.11, 68.12, 68.13, 68.14, and 68.15. So as Ms. Loricella noted, we did look at this noise ordinance, maybe it was 6 years ago, and as it was operating, it was a little bit bulky, and so Ms. Dunn raised her hand to say that she would be happy to work with Chief Walsh and Mr. Candela to revise this noise ordinance. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Dunn and Chief Walsh to talk more about some of the changes we made to simplify this ordinance and make it more effective.
Ms. Dunn?
Okay, so I'll start. I think this is a really good opportunity for us to hear from the residents about things that are of concern to them and not just say we hear you, but to actually do something about it. So I think this is a really positive thing for the council. We thank you, Brian Candela, who's a jewel for the city. He's so, I don't know where he's not here, but he's invaluable. He really did a lot of work. He started out with, I'll do like a couple sections, and he ended up digging in and doing pretty much the whole thing other than the hours, which are remaining the same. Brian started out with giving us some benchmarking data from other cities and towns, and we looked at the ordinance from the state to make sure that we would be complying with them. So it all fits within the state regulations, and it turned out that our ordinance was about 50 pages longer than at most other cities. So it made it very unwieldy for a police officer who is showing up when somebody had a concern about noise to actually address it. It also had a lot of stipulations about how they read the noise and what the levels were. And there were different tables depending on whether you were standing in a commercial zone or a residential zone, and if you're abutting a commercial or if you're residential next to commercial. So we really tried to make it much more easy to understand for a police officer to be able to show up and say, yes, it is too loud, please turn it down. The other thing that is part of this is that the original ordinance, they would have to give them a warning. So there was no way to really track how many warnings somebody had gotten. So this way, when they come out, we're not trying to make it punitive. It's a simple $50 fine for a violation. But with that, it makes it trackable so that we know if a police officer has had to spend the time going out or the police department over and over again within a 30-day period, it will ramp up. So it makes it easier for us to see where there are issues within communities, which will be a good thing. It removed a lot of the unclear standards. And I think as we're kind of moving a lot of more commercial spaces into residential abutting properties, it allows for the noise to be, if you're in a residential in your home or an apartment or a condo, that the expectation is that, you know, the noise level is at a residential level, not at a commercial level. So originally we had tables for, like, Washington Street was separate, but if you live in the apartments above, it really behooves the restaurants to make sure that they have enough sound dampening or not leaving the doors open and stuff. So I did speak with Ms. Gianderco from the Chamber of Commerce, and so she gave it the nod that this is all okay. Is there anything that Chief Walsh wanted to add to that?
Yes, the old ordinance required the officers to go through several levels of ambient noise measurement, which was proven to be ineffective because several times, for your example on Washington Street, the passing cars, the ambient noise of the passing cars was more than what we suspected was the source of the noise complaint. So it made the noise ordinance very difficult and problematic to enforce. This new ordinance allows the officers, once he gets a certified noise meter and using an outdoor muffler, should I say a windscreen over the device, they're allowed just to take one noise meter reading within 1 foot of the area that they suspect is the source of the problem noise. And within interior buildings, if there's an interior noise complaint among apartments or something, that reading needs to be done within 3 feet of the wall where you suspect that noise is coming from. So it does allow the officers to take enforcement powers on that violation, which it eliminates a lot of the steps which made this ordinance almost enforceable in the past.
Any questions, Mr. Wiggins?
How do we reach out to the businesses and let them know about the changes? I think the biggest area that's probably going to be affected by this is the South Norwalk area. How do we go to the businesses? How do we let them know that this ordinance is happening? Because Heather, Ms. Dunn, I don't know if you mentioned it, but you said that there's basically not going to be warning. It's going to just start off with a $50 fine. But sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and these owners or whatever might not be engaged politically and not know how this stuff works. So how are we going to get the word out?
Well, first of all, as I said, I went to the Chamber of Commerce about this too, to get their input and just be collaborative about how it looks and feels to them. And Shannon, Ms. Gianderco was definitely on board. The other two pieces of it is that it is within the right for the police officers showing up to, if it's plainly audible when it can be heard from a distance of 100 feet, they have the right to, give them a violation. The other thing is that if it is something continual, that it's a business that they really think it puts too much pressure on them to maintain this decibel level. And we did look at the decibel levels and kind of change them a little bit to be in line with other state cities and towns. But there is the ability for someone to go to the health director to get a waiver for use. And there's all kinds of, if you look at how, I won't read them all, but there's all kinds of activities that are allowed. Things like, the fireworks, anything that's permitted from the city. So like in the fireworks at the Oyster Festival, things like that are permitted that are in here. If we have power outages and people have generators, that's all permitted in here. So there are a lot of permitted uses in this ordinance that remain. But if somebody has a use that they need to ask permission from, they can go to the health director and ask for a waiver.
I don't think there's a question of answer. How do we, because every business is not connected to the Chamber of Commerce, right? How do we inform the business owners that might not be connected to, the political space, the Chamber of Commerce, that might not understand that this ordinance is happening?
you know, I think that's something that we as a city can reach out, but I also think, Juan, there's like, it's the level of noise is pretty high. Like, we actually went through some of it. It's like it also has to be continuous. So we talked about, you know, if somebody's beeping their horn outside, it's not continuous. But if somebody's running, you know, doing automotive services in their yard and revving an engine all day, that level will be able to be read. But if it's just not continuous, that doesn't really fit into this either.
I'm just thinking about, well, I don't know how high it is, but I'm just thinking about.
Pretty high.
Yeah, because I obviously will have to hear it, but I'm just thinking about, once again, that the businesses on Washington Street, and if they're not used to something, right, or they don't know anything about the ordinance, would they be affected by it?
I think, and Chief Walsh could speak to this a little bit more. I think originally when this was more of an issue, and Chief Walsh said that the restaurants that are down there now, and he can speak to himself, are not as non-compliant as they were, because they've done a much better job of making sure their doors are closed or not having the sound equipment, you know, up against a ceiling where somebody's trying to sleep up above. But Chief Walsh, you could probably talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, to your point, the problem is not as bad as it used to be, but it does come and go. Depending on the weather, if the weather's warm, sometimes doors are left open, windows are left open in some of the bars, so they have to be addressed. I wouldn't say it's non-existent, but the noise complaints have dropped significantly in the area of Washington Street. It's probably a combination of some of our enforcement. A lot of times it's just the officers walking up to them and say, hey, close your doors, close your windows. Some of them have the big bifold windows that open up for the patio access and things like that. So we did a lot of education and a lot of enforcement in that area. So it has improved, but we still have our problems where this ordinance will be effective. And some of these things that we're seeing is not just affecting Washington Street, but some of our more condensed neighborhoods where you see parties with bands, loud parties that last all night, things like that. And you have to understand, if someone calls and the officers get there 25 minutes later or 20 minutes later due to triaging calls, that's a sustained noise. From the time that we received it to 25 minutes later, the noise is still ongoing. So it's sometimes those are probably some of the most problematic ones, the ones that we're seeing on late Saturdays and Sunday evenings where people are having parties and picnics.
Yep. And Mr. Mayor, if I might say something. With regard to the ordinance, Mr. Wiggins, it's not really something that we would put in the ordinance about like how this ought to be publicized. So the ordinance is one thing, but this is something that oftentimes when we write ordinances like this, we put something on the city website. And then as a council person in my district, if I had an area that was subjected to that, it's often a good thing that I do as a practice as a council person to reach out to some of the businesses that I think would be interested to know that there's been changes. So it's, you know, it wouldn't be addressed in the ordinance about public outreach, but definitely a good idea for you to reach out to some of your constituents.
And just for one further point, sorry for interrupting. Just like some of the education we did with the new vape shop ordinance, we actually visited every single vape shop in town and dropped off the application to them and told them about the new ordinance. We could do some education along Washington Street and provide them the new ordinance and advise them of the new guidelines.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
And we could probably also message it on our social media.
Mr. Frayer, you have the floor.
Thank you. Has the ordinances changed? I mean, we've had a noise ordinance out there and being used. Has the level gone up or go down? Is it more strict now than it was before? I mean, to Mr. Wiggins' point is there some new regulation that means that I have to be quieter now than in the past? I mean, if this is a brand new ordinance, I would say, by the way, you cannot be over 100 decibels. But if there's an ordinance out there already that says 100 decibels is considered, you know, annoying or against the law or in violation of this ordinance, then it's been there for years. Is this changed that much?
So the hours have not changed. However, there were certain times where they were allowed to have a spike. Does that make sense? So we're aligned more with statewide what they're doing. We had a couple instances with, I think we had 4 different tables. So like if you were on Washington Street, you could go from like 55 decibels to 70 decibels. So I think most things align with other cities in the state now to maintain at a 55 decibel. But again, if you're somewhere you need to do rock crushing, it's 70 decibels, which is, you know, you're going to go deaf. Then you could apply to the health department director to get a waiver for it within certain areas. So
But
it
if
just
I'm a
basically
normal
makes
business
it.
person out
What?
there, I'm a normal business person out there. Is it really important that somebody come and tell me now that we're going from 60 to 55 decibels? Or, I mean, is it going to really make that much of a difference?
No, what it really makes a difference of is when a police officer comes out, they had to take like 4 different readings. They had to have a special windscreen. They had to like calibrate a certain way. They had to be trained all this time. Basically now they can just go, it's too loud, shut it down. And it just makes it so much more user-friendly for our police officers. They have a lot to do, you know, and when they have to come out 5 times, it should be about the second time they come, there's a tracking that they've been called out. Because if the same neighbors are having a party every single weekend, so over a 30-day period, and they've been, you know, not in compliance of the hours and the decibels, now we have a record of what's been going on and can address it. And again, it's not going to be punitive. We actually reduced the fines from what it was, but made the fines start right away rather than a million warnings. Because every time you came out, you'd get a warning. But if you don't track the warnings, you don't know that now you're ready for your first violation, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So now I think that people in the community will feel more comfortable that if they call and their neighbors continuously not being respectful, that something can be done.
Ms. Smith.
Yeah, I'd really just like to thank you, Ms. Dunn, for your work on this. Ms. Shanahan, also for your leadership in the whole ordinance committee. You know, I was on the council. It was my first term when, you know, the consultant was here and we were going through all of it, and it was so convoluted. And, you know, I've had my own frustrations just as a resident when, you know, I had neighbors having parties and, you know, I would, you know, anonymously call the police department and, you know, and there was nothing they could do really, because by the time they got there, you know, whatever. So, you know, I have to say, when I read through the backup and I saw all those red lines, I was like, yes, this is so much easier to read. And I think it's really important that, you know, our police department is not, you know, it makes it easier for them to do the job of you know, because noise is you know, it's a public health issue, really is. And so we want to make sure that, you know, everyone's working together to make Norwalk the best we can, really. So I'm really, really pleased about this.
Mr. Goldstein.
I just want to add to what Council President Smith said, because, and I think this speaks both to Heather and Lisa, and I'm actually really glad that this ordinance is up at this meeting, because for 2 outgoing council members, it actually really kind of crystallizes 2 things that both of you do very well, which is taking a complex issue and coming up with a very practicable solution that is actually enforceable. Because a lot of times one of the best sort of argued criticisms of government is that sometimes our own bureaucracy can kind of get in the way of us actually being able to get things done. One of the things that I think we as a city work hard to do is actually break through that. And I think that's a testament to Mayor Relling and his administration. That's something that we've been working on for a long time. And this ordinance adds to that, because an ordinance really only is as good as its ability to be enforced. And so when Chief Walsh, I think rightly, came and said, hi, we'd like to take another look at this, because I would like to make this more practical for police officers to enforce, because there's a problem and a need that needs to be, you know, resolved, or at least a mechanism to resolve it. The fact that we're doing this, and obviously, you know, Chief Walsh was very helpful, as was Lisa and Johan, when it came to the vape ordinance. Same idea, different problem. And so I think that effort and that practice is something we're going to continue doing. Obviously, we're going to miss Heather and Lisa tremendously, but this is a great way I think it's a capstone way to end your time here. And it's something that's going to absolutely improve the lives of people in the city and their quality of life, which is one of the things that we focus the most on. So thank you.
Thank you.
Further comments, questions? Mr. Wiggins.
I'm sorry. I'll keep
Mayor,
going back
I'm
to this.
sorry.
I think I see Nicole's hand up. Yeah, Nicole's
I've
had her
had
hand
my
up.
hand up for a substantial amount of time before a lot of
We just couldn't see you on the screen. That's all.
I can't see you at all.
Where's she on the screen?
It's 13 of y'all over there. Somebody need to look at the screen.
You're not
No,
there.
you're
You're not
there.
on the screen because the camera's off.
Well, y'all don't need to see my sick child either. I just wanted to say to both Heather and Lisa, what I wanted to say has been said, but I also want to just bring note that we often talk about Washington Street, but we also have other very busy hubs throughout the city, not just Washington Street, that this does affect too. And so I don't know if I'm totally in agreement with some type of campaign about the new ordinance, but I was happy to see that it was focused not only on the commercial space, but as well as the residential space. In District A, there are pockets, particularly around Spring Hill, and Chief could speak to this, where we've had some illegal activities. They quiet down a little bit, but we've had some illegal activities. I think it was like volleyball, Brazilian volleyball or something, that caused a lot of noise and lights. And it happened for a substantial amount of time. And I remember talking to many of the officers, and they were like, we're doing our best, but there's really not much we could do. So ordinance like these really help in the enforcement of problems that a lot of other sections of the city may not know we have. But as I believe Barbara said, does speak to the quality of life. As we are an city with an older population, which is really our base, we need to understand how noise affects them. It affects them differently. And so to make it more neutral and to allow people, really our officers, to be empowered in their positions and easier for them to do enforcement, I'm very, very happy with this ordinance. I'm not always an ordinance fan. I really am not. But this ordinance, I'm very, very happy because it's really going to help a lot of different things, not just the bars and the restaurants, but a lot of other things that go on throughout the city will be impacted by that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. Mr. Wiggins now?
That last point, I promise. Listen, I'm not against this ordinance. I think it's extremely important. The only thing is, I just feel like we have to find ways to get the community involved, not just for the businesses. To Nicole's point, you know, the people that might have had instances where, you know, the officers came out and he was told and so on and so forth. I think we just got to do a great job at getting the word out. And a last point, I know I said that before, but it wasn't the last. What Jim said is really extremely important. How much of a difference is it from what it was before? I don't think, was that answered? Like, I don't think that was answered. How much of a difference is it?
In some cases, none at all. It's just that we had all these different tables for different situations, and now it's just streamlined into one. This is how loud it can be in residential, and this is how loud it can be in commercial. And if you have a commercial situation where you need it to be elevated from that, and honestly, at that level, you can't bring the sound here. At that level, you're gonna have hearing impairment. So it is really, really loud. Yes. And when we talk about things like, what things that we considered when we were talking about fireworks and things like that, there are different, I was just saying, different cultures like to have fireworks, some don't, but you don't think about your neighbors who might have PTSD, or your neighbors who have dogs that lose their minds when there's fireworks, which again, if it's 1 day a year, 2 days a year, but when it gets to the point where people are doing it next door every single day, this is a tool that people can use to make their lives better, right?
Any further
Just one
questions?
added point. The most significant change is the process, not the noise tolerances or the levels. Is just for an example, if you call the police at 2 a.m. over a party 4 houses away, the police officers would have to go inside your house. That means you would have to identify your house and yourself and go inside your house and say, okay, take a noise meter reading from your living room at 2 a.m. and then go down the road and take several ambient noise readings to the house 4 houses down, which they believe. So it cuts that process out. So it makes the process a lot easier for enforcement, but the levels are just about the same. So it doesn't dramatically make it easier based on the decibel level. It cleans up the process.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. That brings us to Ms. Smith on item 7E1.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Approve the proposed naming of a room in the Norwalk Library to be the Norwalk History Room, established by Ralph C. Bloom, 1972. I would like to move that and say a few words if I may.
Please.
Yes, so this came to the Land Use and Building Management Committee, which was approved with flying colors unanimously across the board. Ralph Bloom is a Norwalk treasure. And as Moina Noor, the president of the Norwalk Public Library, so eloquently pointed out, his service to the city in terms of history. You know, he spearheaded the creation of the library's history room in 1972. And he really transformed the history room so that, residents, researchers, students, and history enthusiasts can, take full advantage of it. He really is a true treasure. And so I fully support this naming.
Thank you. Any further comment? Ms. Dunn.
I just want to weigh in just because love Ralph Bloom. Having taught history and things like that, and he is as much of a historical treasure for Norwalk as are the things in the library too. I enjoyed working with him throughout the years. He always had a lot of information. It was always in his head or on his little note cards, never on the computer. But it's really important, especially for our young people and for our sense of community and sense of place, to feel that connection with our past to actually move us forward. And he's been instrumental in that. So I'm wholeheartedly for this.
Further comment, discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Before we go into executive session, I'll take a little bit of a privilege about the chair. I know she's going to be upset with me. I'll get myself in trouble, but I do want to thank my first lady for being next to me during the entire journey. We're sitting through some painful meetings. I think now we go into executive sessions. I have a motion. Mr. Joseph, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? It is 8:40 and we are going into executive session. Okay, we are back in public session. During the executive session, no motions made and no votes were taken. Turn it over to the council president.
Yes, Mayor, I would like to move to vote to approve settlement discussed in executive session of the pending lawsuit titled City of Norwalk versus 587 Connecticut Avenue, LLC. At all.
Motion made. Further discussion or comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So one opposed. Mr. Wiggins had recused himself, so make that a note as well.
Wait, did Nicole,
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
she did.
you made sure that Nicole voted?
She did.
She did, okay.
So,
Okay, Ms. Shanahan,
Motion to adjourn, Mayor.
all in favor? Aye, we are adjourned at 9:31. Thank you all.
All right, thank you all. Congratulations.